meeting over to Tyla, who will be sharing for around 45 minutes on step 6. Tyla, thank you, and over to you.
I don't see her, Michael John, on the
Below
screen.
you, I can't see.
Hold on
Let
one
me.
second. I'm just. Where is Tyla?
Hi, everyone.
Let's see if you've got
I couldn't unmute. The mute
Oh,
thing
there
was
you
kind of
are.
stuck.
Okay.
Hi. Can you see me now?
Perfect.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi from all over. It's so good to see everybody, and I'm so honored to be here. These international meetings are just great, especially the ones that come out of the UK. I know that's your home, and UK has had so many great meetings that I've been to. You know, I was told I can share on 6 and 7, Maya. I'm not going to share much on 7, but it's pretty impossible to share on 6 without sharing a little bit on 7. And I talked to Chanel about that. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine, Tyla.
Okay, honey. It won't be much on 7. I'm always so honored to speak on 6 and 7 because they're 2 steps that really changed my life. And I see Tracy here. It's so good to see Tracy here. I just spoke with her. Hi, sweetheart. It's wonderful to see you. And I want to welcome all the people that we're identifying as relatively new and all the people that are first timers, and you people that are relatively new. I can guarantee you something. If you do the steps out of the big book in a deep and effective way, you will never have to drink or use again. Oh, how can I say that? Because I've seen it over and over and over. And the main problem that I've seen, because the group I'm with in San Diego, we do a lot of workshops. And the main reason I see difficulties is people's relationship with God. And I see that over and over. And my God-given sobriety date is December 26, 1989. This December 26, I'll have 36 years. That is a total gift from God. And the grace and the strength that God has given me to stay focused on this program, to do all 3 parts of the circle and triangle, to work with others, to be in the fellowship, and to do the steps myself. And I am truly grateful. Now I'm going to share on 6 and 7, and you may hear things that are unfamiliar with you. I hope that you can keep an open mind. Because this is the way it was given to me. I worked with Mark Houston for 5 years and Dan Sherman for 14, who wrote the Big Book Awakening. I'm not promoting that. There's lots of ways to do the work, and they're all good. God will guide you to the way that you're directed to do it. But this has been the way that I've been doing it for 20 something years, and it's been incredibly effective. So that's what I look like. What's what I look for. Is it effective? Not is it right? Is it wrong? Is it working? And I have found this way to be the most effective way for the people that I've done workshops with. So here we are. We have finished our 4th step, and we are entering into step 5 and then into 6 and 7. And I'm going to try to wrap this up in 30 minutes, so there's more time for open sharing and more time for you guys to share. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of mechanics, which I prefer not to, but you cannot talk about 6 without mechanics, because it has mechanics in a particular way in how to do it. So when I look at step 6, I first start on page 72. I want to read this paragraph to you, okay? 72. Having made our personal inventory, what shall we do about it? We have been trying to get a new attitude, a new relationship with our Creator, and discover the obstacles in our path. We had admitted certain defects. We have ascertained in a rough way, this is the top of 72, a rough way what the trouble is. We have put our fingers on the weak items in our personal inventory. Not bad. Weak. Things I need more power for. Now these are about to be cast out. That is not a therapeutic term. I have done therapy in recovery, and it helped me. I did 6 years, and he never once said, Tyla, we're going to cast out these difficulties. So this, we know, is a spiritual term. This is of God. This is what Carl Jung said. Those things that were once the guiding forces are going to be cast out. This requires action on my part, which when completed will mean that I have admitted to God, to myself, and to another human being the exact nature of my defects. This brings me to the 5th step in the program of recovery. So that paragraph is important because I have to see, it talks about my defects of character, and it talks about the nature of my defects. And in the spiritual malady on page 52, it talks about my emotional nature. Now, my emotions are external. My emotional nature is internal. Anytime the book uses the word nature, it means inside of me. So my emotions, I may be able to control going off at you. At a meeting, if I'm mad at you, I may be able to control my reaction. I may be able to pray and control it. But when I leave that meeting or I leave my meeting with you, I'm burning up inside. I hate that person. I can't stand him. I cannot control my internal emotional nature. And it is showing me here, my defects of character are what you will see externally. And they will show up in my 4th column under self-seeking and selfish behavior. They will show up there. But the nature, if I don't get in touch with the nature of my defects, remember Bill said in the second half of Bill's story that they were pulled root and branch. It's telling me I need to get down to the root of the problem of my character defects. And the root is fear and delusion. And if I don't get down to the root of it, I won't get down to the fact that I cannot do anything about it on my own. And I will not be pushed to 6 and 7 at the same desperation and level that I need to. Because my fears that drive all of these delusions in my life in that 4th column, my fears do not come from you. I want to tell you they come from you. I want to think they come from you. They come from me. They come from my childhood. They come from things that were done to me. They come from things in society. And there is no working on them. There is no working on fear. There is either an act of God in my life or there is not. And it says I outgrow fear. I outgrow it as I grow into faith and dependence upon God. So when I have to see what I'm up against here. I have to see that I'm up against something that I cannot fix. There's no way for me to be fixing fear and delusion. Fear is the deepest part of who I am. I have a fear manufacturing plant inside of me. And fear has run my life into the ground until I started doing the work this way 20 years ago. And every decision I made was about fear. Will this bring me more fear? Will that bring me less fear? It is not that way today as a result of doing the steps in a deep and effective way. It didn't happen overnight, believe me. But a lot happened also through prayer, which Shofar Dean, who's here, has helped me with and brought me to a whole new relationship with prayer. So I do this 5th step looking for what's objectionable. We 5th step, which is logical, we 5th step from a 6th step perspective. Let's look at step 6. If we have answered to our satisfaction, we then look at step 6. We have emphasized willingness as being indispensable. I can't live without it. Am I now ready to let God remove from me all the things which I have admitted are objectionable? Things that are offensive, things that I don't want. Can he now take them all, every one? If I still cling to something I won't let go of, I ask God to help me be willing in the moment. So it's telling me that I'm going to ask to remove the things that I have admitted are objectionable. Where did I admit it? I admitted it in a 5th step. When I'm here in a 5th step, I'm asking him, do you see what's objectionable about this interaction, your behavior, your thinking? Do you see on your own power you couldn't have behaved any differently or done any differently? We need to know that. I need to know that. If I could have done differently, I would have. And then I ask, is there anything that you're clinging to that you're unwilling to let go of? And if you're clinging to it, we're going to talk about it and we're going to pray about it, and you won't be clinging. So when we're done with a fifth step, there technically shouldn't be anything you're clinging to. Sometimes that does come up. So when I finish that fifth step and we go over to the promises and we read the promises on step 75, I want to just look at the time. We look at the promises on step 75. First of all, we pocket our pride going to it, illuminating every twist of character, every dark cranny of the past. I read that, all of that with them, and when we get to that, we stop and we fifth step. Once they fifth stepped and they've shared their take it to the graves, before they fifth step or after they fifth step, I say, once we have taken this step, withholding nothing, and I say, is there anything you're withholding that you need to share? We are delighted. I was delighted to be done. We can look the world in the eye. How many of us, when I came in this program, if I thought I could ever look the world in the eye, I had so much shame and guilt from the horrible things I did to people, the way I lived my life, so many people that I hurt. Withholding nothing, I can look the world in the eye. I can be alone at perfect peace and ease. When the book uses the word perfect, it is not of human power. I can be alone at peace and ease on my power, but perfect peace and ease is of God's power. Our fears fall from us. When I see where the fears come from, they come from my dependence on me rather than God. When I turn to me, when I am dependent on me, I'm going to fall short and I'm going to be afraid because I don't have the power to walk through or the faith to walk through or the strength to walk through those fears. But God does. All men of faith have courage. They trust their God. I can be alone at perfect peace and fears fall from me. I may have had certain spiritual beliefs, but now I begin to have a spiritual experience. The feeling that the drink problem has disappeared will often come strongly. I feel that I am on a broad highway walking hand in hand with the spirit of the universe. Nowhere does this book say that the road narrows. It gets bigger and broader and more open to the spiritual way of life. So I begin to see, on page 62, it talks about my troubles are of my own making. They arise out of me, which means they come from me. On page, I want to tell you, on page 56, the minister's son, there's a great paragraph that says on the bottom, in a few seconds, he was overwhelmed by a conviction of the presence of God. It poured over and through him with the certainty and majesty of a great tide at flood. Listen to this. The barriers he had built through years were swept away. The book over and over tells me the things that are blocking me from God are not coming from God. If I was blocked from God by self-will, how did I write inventory? I believe the self-will was removed way before. But it tells me that on 64 because that is where I'm at in the book. And that is the way that it looks. Because I continue to fool myself about the value of hanging on to resentments. And when I finish that fifth step, I should not be clinging to anything. I should be willing to let go of all those things. So when I'm working with someone and we're at that place where they finish the fifth step and we're going to enter into step 6, see, people say, oh, step 6 and step 7, they're just a paragraph. No, they're not. Step 6 is everything from 1 to 5. Step 7 is everything from 1 to 6. And it's going to show me that. It's all of it put together. It's not just this paragraph. So I tell them when I'm at the end of hearing a fifth step, I ask them, tell me when you're going to do this hour alone with God. Okay. I do a third step with the people I sponsor. I don't do a seventh step with the people or sixth step with the people I sponsor. They need to take responsibility for their spiritual life. And the spiritual life is not a straight line. We will veer on and off of it. That's where you get people saying, I took my will back. I took the third step back. No, it's not a straight line, but more and more we will stay on that. Returning home, and I ask them, when are you going to do it? So returning home, this is the beginning. Returning home on the bottom of page 75, I find a place where I can be quiet for an hour. They say an hour. And, people can disappear. It means an hour. Carefully reviewing what we have done. So I tell them, you're going to put in front of you your resentment inventory, your fear inventory, your sex inventory, and your sexual ideal. You're going to put that right in front of you, okay? Carefully reviewing what we have done, we thank God from the bottom of our heart that we know him better. I thank God in my own words, in my own way, from the bottom of my heart that I know him better. Taking this book down from the shelf, I suggest you put it on the shelf and take it down just in case you want to make sure you follow the directions. We turn to the page which contains the 12 steps. And I do this with people in the beginning. After people have done the work the way that we do it, they don't need me to take them through, but I walk them through. So we turn to page 59, and I ask them to read the first three. It says here that we review the first 5 proposals, the first 5 steps, but I ask them to read out loud the first 3 proposals. We ask if we have admitted anything, for we are building an arch through which we will pass a free man and woman at last. Is our work solid so far? So they read step 1 to me, and I ask them, is there anything you've admitted in step 1? Do you feel your work is solid so far? They say yes. I have them read step 2. Is your work solid so far? Have you admitted anything? Read step 3. Same thing. Have you admitted anything? Is your work solid for it? They say yes. So we're going to do the review of step 4 in a meditation in step 6 that was given to me. That is one of the most powerful exercises I've ever done. So we come back to this, carefully reading the first 5 proposals, for we are building an arch through which we walk a free man or woman at last. Remember, on the bottom of page 62, in the 3rd step, it's going to talk about this arch that we pass to freedom, okay? I want to just read it to you. God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple. And this concept was the keystone. A concept is what really is possible in the future. Not that it doesn't happen right there, but it's telling us that this is the vision of what our life can be like when we really depend on God. This simple concept was the keystone. The top of the arch, which holds everything together, is the keystone, with the new and triumphant arch through which we pass to freedom. Well, that walk through the arch in step 3 is completed in step 6. Okay. The arch through which we walk, I'm back on step 6, a free man at last. Is my work solid so far? Is my work solid so far? Yes. Have I skimped? Are the stones properly in place? What are they talking about, the stones? And I'm talking to the person that I've just 5th stepped with. The stones they're talking about is first, the cornerstone on page 47 where it says, am I willing to believe there is a power greater than myself? Not even in, but when I've taken people through the work and they've done it, my question is, do I believe that God can take me further in every area of my life than I've ever been before? And I believe absolutely, because he has. And then the other stone is the keystone. And I ask him, do you feel your keystone is solid, in place? Do you feel solid with a relationship that God's the father, you're his kid, that God's the principal, you're his agent, that God's the director, and you're the actor? Do you feel that he's the employer and you're the employee? Are these concepts that you're grasping and holding on to now? They say yes, okay? Have we skimped on the cement, bottom of page 75, put into the foundation? Have we tried to make mortar without sand? On page 17 in the big book, it talks about making this cement, which is half the program, right? Half the steps in the big book and half the fellowship. They ask us on 17, are we balanced in that? Are we not? in the book and not in the fellowship, in the fellowship and not in the book. They want us in both. And here again, they ask us the same question. Are we balanced in our program in the fellowship and in the book? And yes, most people say yes. So then we're going to turn to step 6 again on the top of 76. And the directions are this. I don't do this with them. I tell them to put, like I told you, they have that hour alone, and they put all of the inventory in front of them. Resentments first, because that's what you wrote first. Fear, sex inventory, and your sexual idea. Hopefully you work with people that knew this work enough to have you write a sexual ideal. So when they're sitting there in quiet time with this inventory in front of them, what they're going to do is they're going to pick up the first resentment inventory, and they're going to glance at it front and back. They know it. They fifth stepped it. They wrote it. They don't have to reread it. Let's just say it's my brother. I read, and it's my brother. And I can't stand how cold he is to me. He's never there for me, right? I put it down in a meditative way, in a contemplative, meditative way. I put my hands out. I like to put them out like a little Buddha, out my sides. You'll do it however you want. You can do it standing, sitting down, whatever you want. And I close my eyes, and I picture my brother standing right in front of me. Remember, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. This is admitting to God and ourselves, okay? And I ask myself these questions. Can I see what's objectionable about this interaction? My behavior, this. It goes fast. Can I see on my own power I couldn't have behaved any differently or done any differently? Is there anything I'm clinging to that I'm unwilling to let go of? If I'm clinging to something that my brother will always be wrong, which I shouldn't be because I fifth stepped it, I say a prayer. God, please give me the willingness. And that is all I need to say to move on. The next question, am I willing to turn to God for help with everything I found objectionable about this interaction from now on? And the last one, am I willing to forgive? I can't produce forgiveness, but God can take me to it. And that is the ultimate freedom, is forgiveness. And the bottom of page 77 in the big book, it says in amends, we go to them in a helpful and forgiving spirit. How can I go to them in a forgiving spirit if I haven't even considered forgiveness? So I go all through the resentment inventory like that, picturing each person in front of me. And let me tell you what happened for me and people I've taken through in that meditation, that contemplation with God, was beyond anything I could tell you. It's even very difficult to put in for words because I was a different person. I had never done that with just God and me, and never considered that. And then I go to the fear, the way we do the fear as a grid. We do the fear, and I read to God the first column of fears, asking him, please remove these fears and direct my attention to what you would have me be. Because God is going to direct my attention to what we'd have me be every time I stand in front of someone in amends, and every time I stand in front of someone in the sex inventory when I'm making that amends. And then I go through the sex inventory exactly the same way, picturing each person in front of me, seeing that I'm not clinging to anything. And then I read God my sex ideal. And when I'm all done, or when the people I'm working with are all done, and there's nothing they're clinging to, they can then say the 7-step prayer. And the 7-step prayer is when ready. Those are just words, unless you've done the work in a very deep and effective way, the way we do it, and maybe the way you do it, because it's when ready, when I'm ready to turn to God for help with everything I found objectionable from now on. That's when ready. And I tell them, the people I work with, when you finish the meditation, the contemplation with God, and you're going to do the 7-step prayer, I get on my knees. I suggest they get on their knees. They don't have to. I said, when you get on your knees to do the 7-step prayer, okay, I want you to picture the doorway in the room that you're in. There's always a doorway. And on top of that doorway, I want you to picture a keystone of the 3rd step. It can be decorated your way. It can be country. It can be art deco. It can be whatever you want, but it's your keystone. Picture it there. And you say the 7-step prayer. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I don't know what's good and I don't know what's bad. I mean, I know generally, but I know some of the bad things that I did have been the biggest attraction to helping others. People have called me and said, oh my God, I heard you did this or this and I'd love to talk to you, because I did a lot of horrible things out there and they have made me more useful to others. I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defective character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. We have then completed step 7, and I tell them, get off your knees, look at that doorway of the archway of the 3rd step, and you walk through that. Get up and walk through that. And you're walking through that hand in hand with the creator of the universe to a new way of life. The past is over except when you need to make amends. It's over. This is a new way of life. That when these things come up, when these things that were objectionable crop up, you turn to God for help. Every prayer in this big book is not just a prayer, but it's a commitment to a way of life, a commitment to a practice. This prayer is a commitment to a practice to turn to God for help when all of these things that were objectionable come up. I don't know what he's going to take, but this commitment to a way of life will give you a way of life that is ultimately free, because this is all based on my relationship with God. And when I have that incredible, deep relationship with God, where I have the dependence on God, not on sponsors, not on people, because I'm beyond human aid, my Heavenly Father will never let me down, and he will never let you down. Thank you for letting me share.
Tyla, thank you.
You're welcome.